Can you please give us the indication that you're going to have to be quiet?
Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for this day. Thank you for this beautiful weather. Thank you for everyone in this room. Thank you for those who cannot be here, those that are watching from the live stream. Be with each and every one of us as we go throughout this holy week of Easter, and keep us ever mindful of the sacrifice that Jesus made for us all. In your name we pray. Amen.
Okay. I will entertain a motion.
Chairman, if I can ask real quick, did you want to add the Patriot software thing on here or kick it on next month?
We said we can go and add it. Without objection, we had a motion from legislative to add a request for the Patriot software to just push that all to budget. So without objection, I'd just like to go ahead and add that to new business item. And I may just punt this a month.
Item E. D. E. What's D?
D is the tax reform.
Oh, I clicked the wrong place.
So without objection to that? Okay, without objection, I'd like to approve this agenda with that addition.
Move.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Recognition of the public, I do believe we have some folks here to speak. Thank you. Mr. Michael Clark.
Michael Clark, 102 Tioga Trail, Hendersonville. I'm here to speak about the Brown House. After years and months and everything, the mayor finally beat Vanguard down, and we got the money has been transferred to the county. So you'll be asked to appropriate some money from that a little bit later. But hopefully we can get that done, and as things move on, it can go a little quicker once we know what we're doing. But anyway, please try to make this a priority when we have these meetings, if you can, to move this forward. I mean, it's been 8 years since Mr. Brown passed, right at 8, and it's really time we get this done. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Cynthia McClure.
Cynthia McClure, 102 Chandler Trail, Hendersonville. So I'm here to discuss the Brown House. First of all, I would like to say that this is Holy Week, and according to Matthew 21, today Jesus was in Jerusalem. He went to the temple of God and cast out all of them that sold and bought in the temple, and overthrew the tables of the money changers. And I just found it ironic that tonight is a budget meeting. We're dealing with money, and it's also, it fell in sequence with Holy Week. That's all I have to say about it. I just thought it was ironic. The second thing I would like to say, I'm going to read the codicil. I don't know if, I've read it before. I'm talking about the Brown House. It's over in the Liberty Creek school system. I think it dates back, the house originally dates back in 1790. There's a ton of history in this house. It started with the Latimers. If you've ever gone through Hendersonville, you'll see Latimer Lane. The Latimers lived for years and years and years. And then the Browns bought the house from the Latimers. It's a long house. There's a whole ton of history in this house. Anyway, the codicil reads, and it's from the last will and testament of William Brown. I specifically bequeath to Sumner County, Tennessee, the county, the cash sum of $500,000 to establish and maintain a public park located at 212 Hunters Lane, Hendersonville, Tennessee, with the historic home currently situated thereon being permanently maintained by the county as the park's centerpiece. The park shall be known as the William and Martha Brown Park. This bequest shall be in a restricted fund held by the county in a separate account and used solely for the purposes of the establishment, promotion, ongoing support, and maintenance of the William and Martha Brown Park. And I am just so excited to tell you that we finally, the dialects community finally got the $500,000 and interest. It's not a lot of money, no. 8 years ago, we could have done a lot more with the house than today, as prices rise. But it's my understanding from the last meeting that I came to that there has been an offer from Mr. Coker, I believe, to remove the carpet and the paneling inside the home, and very to pull out the HVAC system. And I may have this information wrong, so don't quote me. But I'm just so excited to finally get to this point. And like I said, there's a ton of history in this house. I've been in this house, and from the outside, it doesn't look like it's that old, because there is brick veneer on the outside, but I don't, underneath the brick, I'm hoping that there's locks, and I'm hoping in the interior of the home there are locks. And imagine what the school systems could do with this historical home, whether it's the FFA department, or whether it's the history department, or whether it's just a matter of all kinds of things that they could do with this house. And it doesn't have to be elaborate, the park. What was Mr. Brown thinking when he talked about the park? That's yet to be determined. Nobody knows. But it doesn't have to be elaborate. Anyway, I think what's on the agenda for tonight is approving the money for the carpet and paneling and to pull out the HVAC system. And that's it. I'm not happy. But y'all have a great Easter.
Thank you, ma'am. Ms. Diane Stinson.
Hi, I'm Diane Stinson from 11 Lindell Road, Container Street. I'm excited also to see this house restored. Charles Latimer was my fifth great-grandfather who built the house. And I'm very much looking forward to seeing it restored and used for something good for this county and schools and the students. And I hope you all approve the money that has been requested, so we can get moving on this. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. All right, that concludes recognition of the public. I entertain a motion to approve the minutes from March 17th, 2025.
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries.
Mr. Chairman, I'm going to abstain since I wasn't.
Oh, okay, we have one abstention. I have no report. Mr. Mayor, do you have a report?
No report, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, Mr. Lyon, you have an extensive report.
Let me get that quickly.
As quickly as you can, sir.
Item A1 is the TCRS reports. Last year it was 1169, this year it's 12.22. If you see right here, it's page 14. If you look toward the bottom, it says that they want it back by May 30th to keep from causing issues. We have to choose at least the lowest grade, and they ask the mayor to sign it every year. I feel a little uncomfortable asking the mayor to sign because it does have a budgetary impact. So basically, just to, I guess for a better word, to protect the mayor, I'm just asking you to send it to the commission, have them to approve and take the lowest grade.
Okay.
Because we need to do it by May 20th, and it does have an effect on next year.
Entertain a motion to approve that.
Motion approved.
Second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries unanimously. Go ahead, Mr. Long.
The next one is, we're working on the budget right now, hoping to send it out Monday sometime to give you a link to it, and we'll print the hard copies before the meeting. Actually give you, about 9-10 business days. One thing I'm looking at is last year there was a little under a quarter of a penny in the debt service fund, about $258,000. Right now, when we're looking at the budget, it's still projected to have over $24.8 million. Before we work up that draft budget, I was just wanting to request to move that, since it's such a small amount of pennies, over to capital projects for 1 year. That way to make it smoother.
I'll entertain a motion to discuss.
Motion to approve moving.
All right, I'll second, but I would
Just a starting point.
I'll second, but I do have a question here. And I just want a quick point of clarification. So, is this subject to are you doing that in order to avoid potential arbitrage issues?
Yes, you really, at your lowest point, should have restricted funds, which would be property tax in there, to basically 1/12
Yep, okay.
of the day. We're way above that. We're trying to bring
I'm
it
tracking,
down.
Plus
we have capital
But I wanted that, you and I talked about it, I just want that on the record. I want people to understand why we're doing this. We're not trying to shift money around. We're doing this in order to avoid arbitrage penalties based on federal requirements for how much we can have as a debt service.
Well, interest to pay back our interest potentially, and then the number two, you have lots of interest needs, and capital is a one-time fund, so you can move the funds back once you get the balance where you
We
want.
did this last year.
But this time, just more pull all the pennies out, so that little tiny amount in there.
Okay, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay,
Item B is just a financial statement memo, just requesting send it to the county commission to be docketed,
okay.
and that they should need a vote too.
Okay.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Item C is a whole group of transfers, and nothing really out of the ordinary unless somebody wants me to discuss something, C 1 through J, or 1 or 2.
These are all transfers, correct?
Yes, sir.
Motion group approve item 1.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Now, that was the end of my report.
So that, you still have, that was just item 1, we still have interbudgetary.
Oh, I'm sorry, I thought you were reading through.
Any discussion or any, items on interbudgetary that hopped out at you, Mr. Warren?
No, this thing it would.
Motion approved.
Okay, we have a motion approved. Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Any opposed? All right, motion carries unanimously. Okay, City of Gallatin, I want to catch up with you on this one this week, but I've been on budget. Mr. Long, have we got bids in yet?
On page 32, we put the update that I had Scott to prepare for my office. We've had it bid, the General Operations Committee has approved to add the architectural through construction. There was enough in budget, so
Okay.
at this point, we are through that phase and ready to move forward.
Okay.
That should be the last obstacle, I think, of the concerns of the mayor in Gallatin.
So here's what, we don't need a vote on this. I think now that we have this in hand, I will personally call Ms. Brown tomorrow, and we can, if needed, Mr. Lyon, the last action we took here was for you and I to present ourselves. If there's any pushback, we will present ourselves to the Gallatin City Council forthwith.
And I think the mayor's been talking to her, and he said she was waiting on this the last couple items, if I recall.
Yeah, this was the thing that we're waiting on. We have done it, we've met our part. I'll call her tomorrow, and if we do not, if the goalpost has been moved, then you and I will go and speak.
No motion.
No motion, we're just gonna do it.
Is it dropping or staying old business?
Keep it on old business until we've got money in hand. Okay, Millersville Library, $6,469 from general fund.
It was to be took up in May, so we're
Okay, yeah, we can just leave that, just
taking over
business.
elections, the old.
Mr. Long, you and I spoke about this, I think, briefly, last week. They're still paying their employees, right? Are we running into any?
We're still paying right now, and the request was for a benchmarking that we're working on, and we plan to Wednesday to send that out to Ms. Ashley, let her look at it first, and it will be available for the budget hearings, meetings at the end of April, 1st of May.
I'm tracking that. What I mean is, have we received, I just want to make sure that we don't have any outstanding, that the election commission doesn't have any outstanding debt that is not being paid?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay, then, unless there's any objection, I'm gonna leave this on old business. Okay,
They've actually made a request under new business too, that's
all right.
the following.
Moving to new business. Appropriation election commission, 92,000. So,
What?
this is,
They've sent a new request over.
have we gotten, and I guess I'm just gonna ask the same question again, Mr. Wine. Are there any bills that are outstanding which have not been paid?
Not that I'm aware of. Her transfer, the first item agrees to the election workers. If you look over under overtime, and I printed her most recent report, she's negative 5,000, but asking for 22, so I'm assuming she has some additional overtime she's needing.
So she's negative 5,000 right now?
Negative 5 right now, and she's asking for 22, so she's asking for some additional, so there may be a need.
Well, so where's the 92,000 coming from? She's asking for?
That was what I was saying. There's the 52,000 for your election workers, which would have some benefits on it. She's asking for 22 overtime, but the sheet we just passed out shows negative, and that's the grant assets today.
We're on the sheet.
Yeah, can you, I'm sorry, sir.
The very first line is the overtime on the right. The 22,000. Are we looking at this?
No, they're all looking. No, we're.
Okay, I'm sorry, let's look at the transfer sheet.
Yeah, sorry. You're talking transfer sheet.
The transfer sheet, the far right number, she's asking for 22,780. If you take this second handout here, and that's the one Mr. Becker was looking at a minute ago, and you pull down about 8 lines, you'll see negative 547681. That's what she's negative right now on overtime. So I'm assuming she has some additional overtime getting ready to come up to my office, or I think she's going to need extra overtime. I'm not really sure. The next item, the election workers exactly agree to the overage. Yes, ma'am.
So what happens, she just keeps running it up and running over and over. Where do we end up? If we don't fund this, what's the worst thing that can happen, or what are we looking at?
It's a violation of statutes. The question is, where do you guys want to bring it?
Well, look, if she's 5,000 over, then if she's.
52
If
and
she's
election workers.
52, I mean, I don't want, that's.
We've already
Let's
paid
take
those.
care of that. So I'm gonna make a motion, to appropriate $10,000 for the election commission. Give her a little bit of buffer. She's 5,000 under.
Why 10 when they're 5?
So,
I mean, we're talking about 2 months of run, that way we don't have to just do it again next month. She's 5 over now.
my question is, do we have to true it up?
Yes, that's what he said, I mean.
Or we get a finding?
No, I'm just saying the statute says we're not supposed to run over these lines.
That's right, and so that's, to me, that answers, I mean, we need to true it up.
So that
Question is,
mitigates the whole purpose of budgeting.
well, it's technically, the departments aren't supposed to go over, that's where it's at. But the question is, when you send up payroll due for an employee under federal fair labor standards is due, and these election workers, it puts us in a position, do I refuse to pay them because of the budget, or the
This
other
becomes a
statute?
question of how, like, it
becomes a
similar
question
to
of
how do we want to go to court and fight?
That's the question, and
Mr. Becker, go ahead. Sorry.
Are there any elections this calendar year? Like, and I'm showing my ignorance. What are they working on to improve overtime? I'm genuinely just curious. I don't have an opinion one way or the other. I'm genuinely curious, like, what are they accrued overtime for? Does anyone know?
can I say one thing? We're gonna bring you the benchmarking when you got your actual budget hearings in April. Everybody's being paid. You could request that during her budget hearing, or request that she comes up to the May meeting and explains Mr. Becker's question,
I would just, I just want to know.
Yeah.
especially through the end of the year. I mean,
Yeah.
She's got 24 on part-time and asking for 9 more.
It also, well, I mentioned something about assassination attempts and all kinds of crazy stuff down there. I
Mr.
don't know
Hyde,
what that has to do with overtime.
What,
Mr. Hyde was a Q now. Gotcha.
what is the 200 and, well, might as well say 217% overage or that they have spent in travel? what are they doing? Where are they going?
Is that travel rentals you're looking at? I think it's
Rentals.
rentals.
Well, the same, okay.
It's to move those election machines, and I don't know if it was for early
And who
voting.
asked them to do that?
Well, they're now over at the other area, so I'm assuming they're renting the stuff to move them.
Do they need help, your help, to construct a budget? I don't understand a department this small, $92,000 in the hole. To me, it sounds like the controller needs to do an audit. What do you think?
The same thing, it's according to how you want to go with this, where they're not supposed to exceed their budgets. I mean, it's really up to the commission when they do it, what action do you want to take? Do you want to fund it or go the other direction?
So well, Mr. Wright, were you finished? I don't want to cut you off.
I'm finished. I was just going to say, I was recently contacted. Somehow I was chosen as the member of the audit committee to respond to questions by our county audit in regards to any suspected fraud or misappropriation of money. That would be unwise spending also, but this will certainly help me ask some questions when I answer that little survey they sent.
Mr. Klein?
I'd like to make a motion to audit.
Okay, we have a motion. Is there a second? Second. Motion and a second. And, who would be doing the audit, Mr. Klein?
Well, I don't know.
The controller?
So,
The state comptroller?
I would suggest that the audit committee should meet because it has a function for audit inside the audit committee.
That would be fine with me, and then we could, if we needed to involve the controller, we could.
So I make a motion that the audit committee audit.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second to pass this to audit. Any discussion on this?
Is that outside of passing the overtime and everything?
Yes, that's a separate motion.
I'd like to put something on this one.
That's a separate motion. Okay. All in favor? Oh, go ahead.
But they're not audited. They get it audited as part of our audit, because they send us stuff, they audit their invoices. They send up documentation for their payroll, so it'd be a financial audit. I think what's being requested here is probably a different type of audit, maybe a performance audit. There may be some question, is there a statute authorizing the commission or anybody else to do a performance audit on the election commission? That would be a legal question. I don't know myself if there's anything allowed in that. I'm not aware of anything.
Were there any findings?
On their stuff they're sending to me, no. But as I was saying last year, they didn't exceed their budget, so I don't really know. If this year, if the budget's not fixed, there'll be a finding for that.
So,
But we do, if you send anything to our office, we do pre-audits. We look at your invoices, we look at your time sheet. So we do that, then audit actually reviews our office that's already done it and always has all your records.
One more question.
go ahead. Serious.
What would a typical audit like this cost?
You're talking about a performance audit? No idea, but it wouldn't probably be cheap. If you have statutory authorization, another question. Before you go down that road, you may want to do some research if it's authorized.
I think that's the point of passing this to the audit committee to investigate and figure out which is.
They can't act on it without them.
Right. So, I mean, they would generate options if there are options to be generated, and then it would pass up through here, and we would decide whether to
I can try to get a quote on if it was approved and statutory.
Okay, any other discussion? Ms. Boyd?
So preliminarily, I looked at some of the numbers also across different counties, and our election office is coming in higher.
Yes.
I mean, I just want
We've done that.
everybody, yeah,
benchmarking.
yeah.
Well, we're working on that right now to bring you what you want on the benchmark.
Do we need to lay out, like, what we're wanting audited? I mean, I understand that we're already got financial audit.
I wouldn't recommend that. If we're gonna send it to audit committee,
Let
let them create a game plan.
We just say we want it audited. We don't want
We
to
just say we want to.
I think you want a performance audit, is what you're.
That's what I'm asking. Like, you can't just say we want an audit, because
I
there's
think,
47 different kinds.
as far as financial, that's already being done. I think you're wanting.
I'm going to, here, I'll give some guidance here. I'm gonna amend your motion to your point, because I think it's a fair point. Yeah, I'm not gonna say we want a performance audit, but it'll probably go down this path. We want to the Financial Management Committee to generate, Audit Committee, to generate options for potential audits that can answer two questions. One is, why does our election commission consistently score is more expensive on benchmarking, which is a fact that we've, for like versus like counties, and we've demonstrated that a couple times. And two, why has it gone? So that's the strategic question, and then the tactical question is, why has the election commission gone over its budget this year? So two questions. Just to could you go to the audit to answer those two questions?
We do need to remember
but I need a second on that. Okay, motion and a second.
the performance, not the performance, but the benchmarking was about 2 years ago, so.
Well, you're still working on that.
We're still working on it right now, so we're not to the point we can say they're more or less expensive right now.
Assuming it is.
We're still pulling that.
I'm gonna keep that where it's at, assuming, with the assumption that it is. And it's not, okay.
2 years ago.
So that's go ahead, Mr. Klein.
What is, I think, Mr. Long, you said, don't do a performance budget?
Do a performance audit. In other words, there's two things. The financial audit is basically going to give an opinion of our financial statements fairly presented. And in the government, they're going to look at, make sure we have an internal control structure and we do single audits. A performance audit is basically completely different. It's just saying, it's going to see how you perform. It's not a financial.
So it analyzes the labor pool and what they do.
Cost structure, how efficient you are, you're wasting funds. It's going to look at that kind of stuff. My two questions I've got, I'm not sure, because we have a lot of trouble benchmarking because counties are so much different. It's going to be one of the issues. The other issue, I'm not sure, and that may be a question that the attorney has to look at. I'm not sure there's a statute authorizing the county commission or anybody to audit the election commission for a performance audit. Now, if you suspected financial, then yes, but they come through our office, so we see all their invoices, and we pre-audit them when we don't suspect fraud on their part. Or we would, look at it closer on that reason.
So, I'm just gonna make a note here. Here's the thing, we've gone back and forth with the election commission on several points here. And we have pointed out, one of the first things that, I think that one of the first conversations I had with Mr. Long was doing benchmarking. I know that first year was a real pain for y'all to do it. You did a great job.
6 years ago.
Yeah, it was not easy, but since that conversation, I've had several discussions with the election commission about, hey, you guys, you're more expensive, on, per capita basis. And, there are several arguments back for why they're more expensive, and it's not a like. And we get to a point where who's right and wrong is difficult to understand. I think this does help to answer the question. And look, if that answer comes back that the election commission is performing as well as it can, given the constraints, geographic constraints, population constraints, then great. But at least it helps us answer this question of what, at least a rudimentary assessment says maybe an anomaly. So I'm going to stick with my two questions here. That's the purpose of it. And it just helps bring clarity. Now, look, if this thing comes back and it's going to cost us $2 million to do, well, we have to figure out if the juice is worth the squeeze. But that's what the audit committee is there to figure out.
Maybe. I'm feeling it.
So,
I'll try that one.
any other discussion? Go ahead.
Just in general, I think Commissioner Boyd sort of touched on it a little bit ago. It's like, it just seems like every year, the election commission, we go through the budgeting process, they get their budget, and it seems like on service, they don't really give any type of effort to stay within their budget. They just do what they do, and they come to us, and then we have to give them the money. Now, I'm oversimplifying it, but that's what it seems like every year is happening. And I know one year, a couple years ago, they missed the deadline, so we knew there was going to be a disconnect. But maybe year before last. Yeah. But so that was sort of, I get that one. But beyond that, I mean, we got to figure out. I mean, there's a budget for a reason, and if they can't follow it, and if we're just going to be forced to pay whatever they do, then we need to figure that out, fix it.
So Mr. Sittler and then Mr. Lyon. Mr. Sittler, did you have?
I thought we were getting ready to vote, and I was gonna clarify what it was, but I'll let y'all
Okay,
finish.
go ahead.
I was basically gonna answer Mr. Becker's question kind of, because he wasn't at the budget process this year, so it may help if, this is page 43. If everybody can pull it out and want to look at, and you got page 44, want to give you the history of the largest line item that's over, which is election work, which is over $52,000. If you look on page 53, about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, about 7 line items down, it says election workers, okay? And we try to put some history here. Back in '24 was 126,345, no presidential election, so that makes sense. The amount they requested was 277,219. The budget committee compared it to other years, put in 280, which was more than they asked for. It came in as 332,721. To try to get a point, what Miss actually told us was that this election has a higher number of voters this time, so that may or may not make sense. But what we're doing right now is the benchmarking. About 2.5 years ago, or 2 years ago, they were more expensive, but this committee here has cut down their budget for the last couple of years, so they may or may not be out of line. Now, our preliminary, we're looking at the graphs, we've not got far enough, but they had a hump. So what you've done here the last couple of years may have put them back in line. I don't know, but we'll bring that to you in the April meeting. But right now, what my point being is, it started out as 277,219 as their request. The budget committee looked at it and came up with 280, which is a little bit higher, not a lot. But the actual is 332, so that means one of two things. Either there's more voters and more calls, or more locations, or less efficiency, and I don't know which one. But that's just to give you the history. The budget was worked on by the committee.
No, I get it.
But the budget committee did work on it.
Anybody else have a comment on this? Mr. Hyde?
In regard to what you're saying, and I've been here since, they had 1.5 people in the election commission office at the courthouse, clerks. And I can understand that you have to have, even in a large election, more people. Now, I don't know how it was anywhere else at any other polling place, but at my polling place, we actually had people coming out and telling us, well, it's a beautiful day, isn't it? We're glad you're here to vote. I don't need people to come out and tell me this is a beautiful day and that they're glad I'm here to vote. I want to vote and go home and not pay all of these people that we don't have to have. So there may be a reason for these spikes other than just a big election. I've never seen so many people at this last election in my life here in Sumner County that were working the polls. Did anyone else witness that?
Mm-hmm.
So, maybe the audit committee just needs to take this and wrestle with it and see what direction they need to go.
We can send our benchmarking to the audit committee too. That'd probably help us remember the
Any
comment
other-
if any additional actions.
Any other discussion on this? And the motion is for clarification.
And more, why the election commission is more expensive on benchmarking, and item 2, why are they consistently over budget?
Consistently going over the budget. Those are the two questions.
Okay.
I think that was seconded by Mr. Lambert. Okay. Yes. All in favor of the amendment?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. Now, the main is basically the amended. All in favor to send it to audit?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries unanimously. Now, we still need to deal with this $5,200. And let me, Mr. Hyde, you had a comment, and I want to explain why I suggested 10,000 as opposed to 5,200. So, in the past, to Mr. Becker's point, this is not the first time that this has happened. We made a mistake 3 years ago in making a comment.
You need 52,000?
5,200.
Where are you getting that?
It was 52.
54.76.
Was I off of?
This is overtime pay.
Overtime, I think we were talking about overtime, they were asking for 22.
Yeah.
780, and they were only 54.76.
This one, it's $55,476. That's the only $5,400. This line, not the 52.
About 18700.
The 52,721.
so you're talking about the 50, I was only talking about the 5,000. Hold on, sorry, now
The 5476 is the overtime.
so those, sorry, I saw that 52,000 and I tracked it up to it, the previous line. So, Mr. Long, are they, this 52,000,
They're already negative that much in
do they,
election workers.
do they have funds elsewhere to transfer into that?
They have some lines, but it's going to be,
What in your estimate do they need in order to make up that deficit such that we are not out of compliance?
they're gonna need to do a lot of them. The question which we probably need Miss Ashley down here to answer some questions. In other words, in postal charges, they have $20,982.
Yeah.
Not sure what she's got left for the rest of the year. We're in April.
I mean, we could do some math right now and look at it.
Well, she may be saying some updated cards.
I'd like to make a motion that we don't make any corrections to this. Our budget's a budget,
Yeah, but
and it's just building. I mean, we're gonna get a finding from the election commission that they did not follow their budget. That's what we're gonna see, and that's where the problem is. And without accountability, if we're just gonna cover it up, there's no accountability, and next year we'll have two departments.
I would like to preface that, if I may, with, let's make sure no one's going unpaid.
That's the question.
Oh,
That's-
will anybody ever go unpaid?
Well, that's what I'm asking here. That's like,
That's
I think
what
we
you
always
do.
pay people.
This is what we've got the issue. You're putting us, there's a budget, don't exceed it. There's also Fair Labor Standards Act, there's state laws, people's payroll. Never fail to pay anyone unless there's some question about the payment, or we question if it's legitimate.
You know, David knows that the school system, and I've been through this for 12 years, as the head of the school system, we would wait until the very end of the year to make major transfers. You do not have to make a transfer at this time. He's paying them, and I like what Terry is saying, because you can, there's more accountability in looking at a figure that they're in the hole at the end and seeing that, how they're operating, than bailing every line item out during the year. Let's just wait to the very end of the year. We will have time to make transfers and just see how graphic this is.
I'm fine with that, Mr. Hyde, is with the one caveat that I just want to hear from our finance director that we don't anticipate that this cycle, this month, we're going to have anybody with that's not getting paid.
If somebody comes in and they are due wages, we're gonna pay them wages. Because the only way they've got overtime is if it's for an hourly employee that's earned comp time, and it says you have to be able to let them use it on a comp time agreement or basically pay them out, so.
Okay.
That's the only legal issue, the rest of it's budgetary.
All right.
So we're gonna end up paying them out.
So, Ms. Boyd, what was your motion? Just to leave it as is? Or just to deny this, I guess the motion is to deny this 92,000?
Yes, that's
Okay.
my motion.
I'll second it. Motion is second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, any opposed? Okay. General sessions, 50,000 from fund balance for juvenile detention.
Let me explain it.
Yes, please.
If you look on page 47 at the history, the last couple of years it's been like, going from right to left, 48,075, 74, and this year we're at 61, which if you look at the percent, you would think we are good, but the last couple of months has been higher. Right now, us and the judge thinks there's a high probability, and he understands the cases more than we do too, that you're gonna run over and need part or most of that 50,000. Since all of your, new requests for monies require 2 readings or to waive the second, I would just request that you do the first reading and put it under old business, and then next month we can look at it and give you more data of where we're at.
Okay. I have a motion of a second with that, but I'd like to motion to suspend the rules, to ask Judge Howard if that's gonna.
Motion to suspend the rules.
Second, all in favor? Aye. Any
Aye.
opposed? Is there anything that's gonna break if we had this held for a month?
We're at, as of April the 7th, we have a balance of $33,605. I've got one child presently in detention and Rutherford County, who has a court date coming up on Monday. I'm hoping that that will satisfy that, but I don't know. I mean, we've got, in that particular case, we've got some strange issues at play as well. But it's one of those things, I think, as Mr. Long indicated, it is just to make sure that we're not running screaming in here in May and asking for more money when we have a situation develop and we're seeing rise. As you know, my budget for detention has decreased, and that's, in respect, very good.
Right.
So I'm not complaining, but I just want to make sure that we're covered if the event that we need to have significant detention of all the ones that.
We don't foresee going over this month.
Okay.
Yeah, you should be fine.
All right, I'll bring this back in. Thank you, sir. I'll bring this back in. All right, we have a motion, did you make a motion on this? Did anybody make a motion? We have a motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That did not, ask for the second reading, so we will view this next month. Okay. That takes care of that. Sheriff's Office, $28,513 for the inmate. Mr. Long, can you get
This is a flow through, it's just your inmate medical treatment.
Motion.
second? All in favor?
Can you wait a second?
Wait a second.
All right, second, good with that. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The EMA Homeland Security Grant is also a flow-through. I asked Mr. Widener what this was for, just to make sure it wasn't for any kind of pay supplement. It is not. It is for a generator and some other equipment.
Motion and waive.
Motion and waive.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, 5A, $2,000 for.
Motion approved.
Second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed?
Are you waiving?
You want to waive that? Okay, motion and a second. And I'm second good with waiving it. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed?
No.
We have one no. Well, then that doesn't get waived. Okay, so it's not waived. Mr. Harrison. So this is for a SWIG grant for $1.814 million, additional funding for the Westmoreland and Portland project. This is a grant all passed through correct.
Do you want me to explain this one?
Yeah, you can kind of give the background on it. Go ahead.
This is one where Hendersonville had a project, and the items they were needing was not going to be available in time because of the ARPA. Well, Jamie Clary, the mayor, made one request to TDEC that it be used in Sumner County. And we went through the various projects in Sumner County, and the only one we could find that TDEC was comfortable with was the SWIG here. The SWIG has water line and a water, is it called a water tower, whatever you call it. It involves that in Portland and Westmoreland. And attached to it, you can see the total of the grant is about $8.6 million in total, and the county matched about $1 million through our ARPA funds.
Yeah.
The additional 1.8 was going to have to be covered by Portland and Westmoreland. They were going to have to decrease the projects, but now TDEC's agreed to amend it into the actual project. And attached on, and this is very important.
When you say amended into the actual project,
if you're willing to take it.
what do you mean by that?
They're gonna get an additional $1.8 million of federal funds to use
federal.
for there's four projects down in,
I wanted to.
there's four projects in Westmoreland that are water line. And then there's the tower in Portland, and in Portland, there's the water tower. And it basically has transmission lines, and it says Oak Hill elevated tank. The 1.8 will help cover the difference, and on pages 87 and 88 is an MOU that's later mentioned that we need to send forward. And it may have some minor adjustments because we sent it to our consultants and legal still looking at it. And 89 and 90, and basically these just do two things. They amend up the MOU for these additional funds is what they do, and just change the scope to include these funds.
Okay.
Does anybody have any issues?
Yeah, Ms. Boyd and then Mr. Klein. Ms. Boyd.
So I like that you're adding this to it, and this looks like the most positive project with TDOT and all that.
TDEC, yeah.
TDEC. How are we on time? I know this additional money's coming in, and we gotta make sure that it's done, or we owe the money, right? Can you
The way
address
it is set up, these right here is, every one of our MOUs have clawback language, so if the cities don't comply, then they claw back the money from the cities, and we claw back our ARPA money from them to pay back.
that? So we're safe, county's safe,
Yes.
and the city will have to pay.
Yes, but right now, we are monitoring the cities, basically the cities will, and like Westmoreland has a consultant that's bid the projects, they're waiting for this to award the projects, and then TDEC will review all their information, and we're ready to go. The only problem we ran into, just to disclose, in Westmoreland, the consultant failed to do some of the advertisement required by TDEC and ARPA. So two things happened. We've contacted TDEC. TDEC gave them a waiver for the ARPA. We don't think it's a large enough non-compliance for a clawback, so we have clawback language in the MOU if it does get clawed back. But right now, as far as we know, it's based on the bids, it's on track.
Thank you.
Mr. Klein?
Why, this is a $1.8 million overage.
It was, they originally did the SWIG for the amount. It came in and the city of Portland was gonna cover some of the overage and a lot of the things was gonna get removed. So instead of removing it and the city having to cover the overages, because there was additional TDEC funds, this went into the project now. So yeah, the water lines and the towers and stuff, because of inflation and running into rock and various items will make your projects like these run significantly.
But it was never gonna be the county.
It's never gonna be county funds. It was an MOU with these cities.
So where is the money coming from?
Federal.
Most of it's
Federal money?
So
It's not gonna cost us.
No.
we gave $1 million, or the county commission gave $1 million
Correct.
of their ARPA money toward this, and then the rest of it comes from TDEC. Your other $9 million for water went to the project at Gallatin, and the rest of them are doing the other large project out there.
Right.
But this was another project for about, I think it's,
$8 million.
well, with our match and everything, it's a little over 9.5 million.
Mr. Klein, Republicans are in charge of the feds now, so we can trust these dollars. Good. We're good now.
We've already had some clawbacks from other stuff.
I just want to make sure that the county isn't coming up with.
No, we're not.
There is-
And to Ms. Boyd's point, like, the clawbacks would happen to the cities, not us. And we, in this scenario.
TDEC would get it back from them.
Yes.
The only thing is, as long as the city has money, the cities in Tennessee, they don't pay it.
This is a conversation I'd like to have around other ARPA money as we go
Sure.
into
We
the
put
future months, 'cause there's some others.
MOUs.
We put it on,
Remember the whole group of MOUs when it came
Yeah.
back to my office, the projects, and then we came forward with a whole bunch of MOUs at one time, that's where they came from.
We're all protected.
Yeah, there's an MOU, this is an amendment to an MOU.
any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Do we need to waive the second
I
reading?
would wait a second on it, because
No.
it's,
Okay, that's fine. Who made the motion?
I don't think anybody.
I moved to waive the second reading. All in favor?
Aye.
Sorry about that. Mr. Becker, you should have kicked me on that. Okay, so, request for the, March Financial Management, Committee to approve funds for the, this. So, have we gotten?
let me just say one thing. Personally, I'm retiring, so I have no dog in the race, but financial management has requested that I go out and get a quote for a search firm. I've contacted two. One's reached back out to me and told me they would have something this week, but we have no idea at this point.
We don't need to do anything with this.
No, but the question is, probably need to sometime between September 1st and June of 26. September this year to June. So anytime after July 1 of this year with a 60-day notice, I can.
Entertain a motion for discussion.
Motion to approve.
Okay, motion to approve. I'll second that, and go ahead, Mr. Lambert.
It's maybe out of left field, but I'm just making sure. Does the 1981 question have anything to do with this?
Oh, I was really hoping.
It will affect who selects the finance director. That's the only. Yeah, it will affect.
So if I could speak to it.
Go ahead, Ms. Boyd.
So when I looked at the timeline.
I'm just asking.
So, and I've had this conversation with the mayor, is when I look at the timeline, we've got to have time to find
Yeah.
the next candidate. And what finance is telling me, it took 4 to 5, 6 months to find when they found David to fill the position. And then we went back and forth on how much time we think the person should shadow in finance to learn the job. He had 0, but I think for the county, we might need more. So the discussion that I've had with the mayor is if we have the national search, whoever's choosing, we need to get started on this timeline. And that's why I wanted to bring it to this committee to look at the timeline.
I completely agree. I just want to make sure that we're not getting the cart before the horse, and then we have to come back and do all this mess all over again.
So the question is do we want to do a national search?
You just want me to get a quote for an ounce of biggest question.
Yeah.
The mayor wants me to get a quote.
So,
We don't know if this is what I'm getting approved.
here's a comment on this, and, I don't know if you wanted to make a comment, I'll go there if you want to. And, so to answer your question, there are implications based on the 1981 Act, but that implication doesn't have anything to do with the timeline. It is a question of who presents the slate or the option to the commission. Okay. Nevertheless, whether it is, whoever that is, we need to start a search. So there's no reason not to start a search. We can cross the bridge of who is doing the picking based on the search when we get to it. So, does that answer your question? All right. Any further discussion on this? All in favor? Oh.
Just one point, if I'm not mistaken, and Terry, correct me if I'm wrong, under the 81 Act, the Financial Management Committee picks the director.
Yes,
And it does not go to the
it does not go to the commission.
Under the 2012 Act, the county mayor will present to the county commission. The county commission will make the final vote.
So if we approve these funds and we're under the 81 Act, they can be off to the races.
The others, they don't, but the only concern you've got is this group could, to terminate on, this group would have to recommend the commission, but the salary would be determined wholeheartedly by the county commission. So, just like since I'm there, I would recommend strongly.
That's what I'm trying to figure out.
The county commission would have to approve the contract.
Here's the way it's gonna have
If
to
you're gonna
happen.
do one, which,
Whenever the individual is presented, there's a contract that has to be made. And so what the funding for that contract is gonna have to go through budget and then full commission.
Got it.
So that's the check and the balance.
let me clarify, you don't have to have a contract, but your candidates, your veterans are probably gonna want one, because think about the time staff side leaving you, you're gonna show it.
You're gonna
have a primary and a commission change in 2 months. So
Yeah.
the group they actually work for, they can, technically terminate them under the 12 or the 81, however it goes, is gonna change in 2 months. And the primary, a lot of them may be changed between the primary and that time, so if you're gonna get good candidates, you're probably gonna need a county commission.
Is we person smart enough to make this come?
Yeah. I wouldn't come if you didn't, I'll put it that way.
I'm fine to support, I'm happy to support this, but is there any benefit in, and maybe there's not a benefit, I'm positing this, in structuring the search such that we start, local within the, 5 surrounding counties first before we do it nationally, or to go now? I mean, is there a benefit, like, to try to find a local, somebody local, or no?
And all this motion is to get a, I'm saying there, I think they said a proposal back from one of the firms, the other one didn't answer back.
Yeah, that's okay, we can deal with particulars later. I withdraw that's fine, we can just roll with it.
So I know what this motion is.
So the motion is to appropriate,
No, it's just informational.
do we?
Right out the information, I will bring back the proposal to this committee next month.
Is there
But the questions are gonna make sure there's interest in it before.
Is there anything that we need to do? Let's just fund it.
Not tonight.
Can I add another discussion item?
Hold on, wait, all right, Mr. Klein, and then I'll get you, Mr.
Mr. Chairman, I would, if it's appropriate, I would like to hear from Finance Director what he thinks about a national survey versus local. He has a feel for this.
All right, go ahead.
Under your 12 Act, and say we're going by the most restrictive, you're gonna have to have a CPA with a certain amount of experience. You've got a pretty large size government, you don't have an HR, you've got projects up there, you've got involved in the insurance heavily and several other things. You really need somebody with a lot of experience. So if it's local, national, doesn't really matter, because the local people's going to look at it too. I just think you probably need to look at your best candidate, and your best chances to probably go with a Barnett. And there's also, I would say, in addition to a firm, if you look at it, there's also, for instance, GFOA, it's national. You can look out there, but when I was looking on their website, it's fairly competitive.
All right. Ms. Boyd?
So, just so that we don't leave all of the work to the end, regarding the contract piece that Mr. Lawrence spoke of, could we start discussing that if we're going to be offering a 4-year contract or a 5-year contract? Could we start going through that so that it's not all pushed to the very end and another fire?
Financial management.
Yeah, that's,
So the contract will come from financial management
Well,
or from the,
either way, this is gonna have to go through this next year's budget.
Yeah,
So
because
that's
it's gonna be
your-
a dollar sign tag.
There's no way, it's gonna go through that funnel, so I don't know that we need to do anything with it.
okay.
My only thing is the firm is just gonna bring you candidates.
Correct.
The question is whomever's choosing it, whether it's the mayor or financial management, are they all wanting me to move forward? That's the question right this direction.
Do you need, let me ask you this question, do you need a motion for you to move forward with?
I'm gonna get a quote from this group. My question before I start approaching other ones, I wanna make sure there's an interest before I start sending out all this information to all these different.
Just to give you some direction, I will make a motion to give the, finance director guidance, to engage with search firms in order to, at least do preliminary discussions around, a national search. That's motion. Second.
What's the guide?
Just the guidance is to just do initial engagement.
The authorization.
Just the authorization to do initial engagement, no money assigned to it, just go out and engage with these guys, and he is free.
When I think of guidance, I think of certain years of experience, certain.
No, just engage with him initially.
Okay.
And to give him clearance to do that. All right, all in favor? Any opposed? Okay. Okey-dokey. Transfer between major categories, highway department, this is, from highway equipment to rentals, this is no new money.
Second.
Motion second, any discussion? All in favor? Yeah, we do, no, this is transfer.
It's between lines, no new money.
Yeah.
It'll go to commission, but it won't need a second reading.
So, $33,800 for, rentals, foreman salaries, liability insurance, motion,
I have a question.
second, go ahead.
What is liability insurance at highway? Why isn't it in liability?
It does. Basically the way your liability insurance works and your OJI, the general fund and the highway fund makes payments to the self-insurance fund that pays the claims. We also have reinsurance for, in other words, if there's a major wreck or a building burns down, we pay that to a third party for catastrophic. These are the catastrophic payments made here. So basically, Kim sends bills out to each one of the funds, and we pay it directly to the carrier versus flowing through. But it is ran through risk management.
Thank you.
All right, any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, sheriff's office subscription, is there, it's multi-year, but it's not a lot, right? Page, $5,800.
It's small, but it's just multi-year, so we're just requesting approval.
Motion approved. Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. That's not enough. Westmoreland MOU, did you pass that out?
Let me discuss item 2 and 3.
Yeah, go ahead.
Item 2 is on page 87 and 8, and item 3 is on 88, and 90 was over there with your appropriation. It has those amounts. The only thing I'm saying, I'm requesting approval and send it to the commission with one caveat. There may be some minor, it won't change the amounts, but there may be some minor changes in the language because we got some final drafts from our consultants and had a few recommendations for a few language changes today. But you'll have a chance to look at it again on the commission floor. I'm just asking you to pass them on forward to the commission with a few changes that I received at this.
Just to be clear, the changes substantive.
No, they won't change amounts. There'll be language to make sure we're taking it all back.
So non-monetary minor changes.
Motion to group and approve 2 and 3. Second, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, Hicksville Health Department, bids due, so
Let me talk about that. This is just to give you a heads up. The health department, we have concerns. That's one of the projects we received late. We received the final specs a couple of weeks ago. We bid those out. The bids are going to be back shortly. We're going to come back in May. Gen Off's understanding, and I think the commission was, that any overage would be covered by the state, but how the health department director and us has figured out, or they've told us now that there's not going to be additional funds. So when you get these back in May, you're probably going to be at the point, do you want to do the health department or not? Because if it's over, you're going to have to cover it, or we're going to have to drop back. The state recommended rebidding it and doing it as a remod, but my professional opinion is that's not going to be able to happen because this all has to be done by next June, and I just don't think there'll be time. There's not a possible way. So I think you're really, just to give you and Jen off the heads up, I think you're really going to be making the decision for the overage, or are you guys going to do the health department or not?
Mr. Klein.
The thing that we have to remember is that we're only required one health department in the entire county. We've got, including Hendersonville, we've got 3. If this goes over budget, we can still have 2, which is 1 more than Davidson County has.
So,
We have 1 in Portland and we have 1 in Gallatin.
motion to discuss. All in favor?
Aye.
So are you suggesting, Mr. Klein, that if we go over that, we just shut down the Hendersonville Health Department?
It is an option that we can take. I'm not suggesting anything, I'm just saying it is an option.
Okay.
And I'm just bringing it at this point because if we get this in May and it's over and you want to continue, we're going to need an appropriation that month to go ahead and drop it, because you're only going to have 13 months. I have a concern if there's enough time for even the bidders, because by the time we got the grant all tied down and got these final specs from the state, we bid them immediately with a month's time frame, and we're at this point now. So you're talking a 13-month build time.
Who's the point of contact for this project?
It will be Hal, and upstairs working on it, Scott, and then we have some other contacts. I'd have to get those for you.
So what specifically is it the bid what's?
We're out to bid right now, and my concern is if it comes in over the bid, we've been told the state no longer has additional funds for it. So if there's additional funds needed, there's not enough time to probably down it or do a redesign as a remod. They mentioned to do modular, but I don't think that's gonna fit what you guys are.
Okay, got it. I understand the
I have
problem.
one other.
Mr. Boyd.
So what happens if we don't finish by June? Can you tell us?
You're gonna have to, or you're not gonna get paid. I mean, we're gonna have to, we're bidding it, the thing is, we're bidding it that the contractor has to be done by June. We're back on the contract.
June of 26.
Yep, this coming in.
And if not, we eat the cost.
You have to get them to agree to it, and they're not gonna agree to
The
it.
contract's gonna be, the contractor that eats the cost if they don't do it. That's what I'm saying, we gotta get a bid back, somebody willing to do it for 13 months, and then we've gotta get this dropped if there's additional funds. And we got those specs, just, as soon as we got the specs, we bid it. That's all we could do, we got the state specs to finalize.
Okay. So there's nothing to be done with this today?
Just giving you guys a heads up to think about it, what are you willing to put into a new health?
All right, Mr. Klein.
Mr. Chairman, this was driven hard by the state of Tennessee. You know, we looked at a lot of different ways to do this, and at the end of the day, they assured us via phone call during one of the committee meetings that our commitment of the land would be all we would have to pay. So apparently, over time, the state has run out of allocation money for this project or projects like it. So I just want us to know in advance what our options are.
I have one more question here, because I'm gonna make a couple phone calls to the state people. If you're gonna have do we have any idea what an overage might look like? Are we talking 10,000, 100,000?
Call Destin tomorrow in my office. We haven't got the bids back there. They're going to be here in the next little bit, but they didn't make this meeting.
Okay,
So our point was to give you guys enough time to think about it, because everybody hates to have something spring on the last second. We don't have all the data right now, but we can tell you there's a concern.
Okay.
If it's over, you're gonna need to cover it, or the project's probably not gonna happen.
No, Ms. Boyd.
I spoke to Hal, last week, and he said some of the other health departments had put a WIC center in to cover part of the cost. I don't know how that feeds into the community, but I thought I'll throw that on the table.
All right.
Hal said a WIC could possibly bring more money.
Motion to suspend the rules.
I don't know.
We have somebody who would like to speak.
Motion to suspend the rules.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Ms. Mayor.
Hal came and spoke to Jen Ox last week. He said that he was pretty confident that the bid could come in under, not over, so I just wanted to throw that out.
Okay.
So Mr. Clark got to mention that, but, we were promised by the state via phone call.
Yeah.
That they were, nothing but committing the land. And of course, I know we have ARPA funds to $690,000, if I'm not mistaken. But Hal was pretty confident it was going to be under bid, so I just wanted to bring that to the table.
Thank you, sir.
I'll
I'll bring us back into our rules. Okay, I don't know that we need to do anything anymore.
Do you wanna move this old business?
Move to old business, please.
And I'm just bringing it to prevent you, and I'm just bringing it as early as possible to prevent you guys from being sprung with something.
I get it, and we appreciate that. Okay,
Motion to approve D1 through 8.
D1 through second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, D1 through 9.
No, 8.
sorry, 1 through 8, no, sorry, in item 9, James Rippey, $477, sick for 3 months, and not a refund of all late fees. Multiple owners for these. Mr. Long, I'm sorry, I did not do my diligence here. What is the story of this one?
We received it and it said that the assessor's office does not support it, and myself, I don't recall us refunding late fees because of illness ever before, and I think one, it'll have to be determined if it's statutory, and number two, you may be setting a precedent for that, but you don't want to. So that's why it's been mentioned.
Okay, motion to discuss.
So moved.
Second, all in favor, Mr. Mayor, go ahead.
Yeah, so Mr. Rippey approached me on this and said he'd been sick and didn't have paid it, and I said, and he wanted me to try to waive him. I said, I have no authority to waive it. You would have to go before the county commission to get anything waived with property taxes. And he said, well, how do I do that? And I said, well, you need to go to the assessor's office, you can submit it, and then the commission makes a vote on it. That's the extent of the knowledge that I have on it, but that's what generated this request.
Mr. Chairman. Go ahead.
I don't have a vote on this committee, but I would like to say that, and I'm not saying do this or not do it, but Mr. Rippey, I don't believe is necessarily whether we can do this or not, trying to pull the wool over anybody's eyes. He's one of the most prominent citizens in the Upper County area, Westmoreland area. He's a very honest and straightforward person. And I think it was a genuine request on his part, but I don't think he's trying to, as the expression goes, hoodoo anybody.
Thank you, sir. I don't think anybody's suggesting that. Here's what I'm going to do for this. I'll make this motion. I don't know if it's.
Can I?
You guys have to deal with it.
I have to treat everybody like a stick, as it were. This is late, it was due, this ownership statement here, and I'm not privy to the facts beyond what's on the agenda, but the ownership issue, most property ownerships are joint and several, means it applies to everybody that owns the property. So it is my advice from a legal standpoint that you not do this, because you will be opening up a can of worms.
I don't know how you police it. I'll make a motion to deny the request.
Okay, I'm going to amend it, but I'm going to make a motion to forward it to the full commission with a negative recommendation, so that it can be on there. If he wants to present himself to the commission, that's fine, but it is a negative recommendation from the committee. So it'll stay on there, it'll stay on the full commission agenda, and if he wants to come and speak to it, that's fine, but it's a negative recommendation, that's my amendment.
Would you want to drag this out?
If he doesn't want to come, he doesn't have to, and we send it to the full commission. The full commission has to deny it anyway.
No,
it doesn't?
no, we can deny it right now.
You voted up or down now?
Just not take action.
No, I'm going to keep my amendment, and if nobody wants to second it, that's fine. Fails for a second. Okay. Motion stays where it is. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, motion carries unanimously. The last one is Patriot Software. I'm just going to make a quick comment on this.
No action.
No action. Patriot Software is, Mr. Mayor, I think I would just like to make a very quick request. And either you could do it or I can do it tomorrow.
Can I
Go ahead.
jump in this if you don't mind?
Yes.
Chairman, I talked with Robert Tuttle after we had that last meeting. I got right with him, and I said this is kind of what they're looking for, that he might want to reach out to you as far as any specifics. I think he's done an overlay. He has sent an email to you, which he sent me a copy later today, I believe, and I think he's looking for some more specificity as to what you're wanting him to get.
Okay.
So it's not, he's prepared to address the issues, he just needs more direction.
All right. Then here's what I'd just like to leave this on old business and let me talk to it.
Okay.
If y'all are good.
Motion adjourned.
Motion adjourned, second, all in favor? All right.
Tommy did that.
Really?